Welcome to Subramani. Many people who ask me questions are in their 40s and 50s, and that is the age group at which people are getting the minimum advice. There's a lot of advice available for people in their 20s and a lot of advice for people who are already retired. But the most important category, if you ask me, are those people who are about to retire, which means anything from 45 to say 55. They are just trying to now test the waters. Will a 3% withdrawal be good? Will a 4% withdrawal be good? Will a 6% withdrawal be necessary? Right? So they're just testing the waters. They do not know when to buy an annuity. I think it's a great time to seek the help of an advisor if you do not know these things. Let us understand one thing. Decumulation of money, that is withdrawal of money, is far more complicated than accumulation. SIP works in accumulation, and SWP, exactly because SIP works, SWP does not work. I'm sure you understand this. Which means you will be withdrawing more when you have lesser units, or you will be withdrawing more money when the markets are bad, simply because you're doing a SWP from an equity fund. I know very idiotic advice being given by advisors saying you should be doing a SWP from equity. Does not make sense at all. Don't tell me backtesting works. You will still have to go to the bucket theory and invest in different buckets for different withdrawal, which will also decide on your sequence of withdrawal. There is the sequence of investing return risk, as it is called, where in the initial stages of your retirement, say from your age of 60 to 63, if the market is in very bad shape, or market was in a good shape when you entered, and when the market crashes for the next 3-4 years, it will completely decimate your equity capital. So remember that. So how much to put in equity, how much to put in debt? I mean, I have arguments for a 100% equity portfolio, and I have arguments for a 100% debt portfolio. My mother, for example, is 83, 84, and she has a complete equity portfolio because her dividend income is far greater than her annual expenses. But those are exceptional cases. You cannot have a equity case for a 60-year-old. A 60-year-old has to have a lot more money in debt than in equity, especially for a person who is skeptical about equity. If a person is skeptical about equity and every day calls you and says, when will the market fall? This person should obviously be in less equity than debt. So I know people with 10% in equity will constantly worry about what is going to happen in the equity market, even though it has no impact in their own personal life, which is largely into debt instrument. So depending on where you are, remember that decumulation, which is the opposite of accumulation, is far more difficult than the accumulation which you have just come out of, and the transition is again not going to be very easy. So you're 45 years of age. You remember now is the time when you're going to get a lot of conflicting needs for your money. Your children want money for higher education. Your parents, if they've not saved enough, may need money for their medical expenses, or their travel, or their anything day-to-day living. So you're going to fight with all those conflicts while protecting your own nest egg for your retirement, which could be 30-40 years, right? If you retire at 60, it could be 40 years. If you retire at 50, it could be even 50 years. So managing your conflicts with a limited amount of money. I've always said managing money is a greater challenge with a limited amount of money, right? So if you need 2 crores for retirement and you have 20, then it doesn't really matter. You need 2 crores for retirement, you need 5, you have 5, even then it doesn't matter. You need 2 crores for retirement, and what you have is 1 crore 90 lakhs or 2 crore 10 lakhs. All your skills will be called into play because you cannot afford to lose money. You cannot afford to give money to a friend and that does not come back. You cannot give loans to children which may not come back unless you are willing to do it against property or things like that. In a worst case scenario, you should have access to your money when you need it, right? You've given it away and it doesn't come back. It is going to be very embarrassing telling the other children that you had given money to one child and that child is not repaying. So you have to manage all those conflicts But of course those conflicts happen later. But right now, whether to give the loan to children, whether to give a gift to children, whether children should borrow money and study, these are all questions which a 45-year-old and a 55-year-old have to grapple with. How grand should be the children's wedding? Who should be spending on the children's wedding? Do you want to spend your hard-earned money, or are the children willing to say that they will want a simple marriage, or are they willing to say that I will borrow for my marriage, it's not a problem, and I will repay? Whatever be the solution, you are going to handle all that. And for persons with limited amount of money, how much are you going to spend on your dad's cancer or your mom's cancer, if that is going to cost a lot of money? And if they don't have money, then all these questions have to be answered in your 40s and 50s. 40s and 50s, you're not even not retired, you're about to retire. It's a good time to be nourishing your body and your brain. So make sure you develop good hobbies. Hobbies need not be expensive. It can be running and cycling, which are not really expensive. It could be playing badminton, any of those things. But start developing your hobbies, maybe some music, maybe camping, maybe trekking, maybe wildlife safaris, whatever. Start developing your hobbies. That is on the lighter side, but also make sure that you keep getting adequately educated and trained. Older people are the most vulnerable to a downturn. So the pandemic also saw lots of 55-year-olds and 56-year-olds being asked to take their retirement early. The axe was more likely to fall on you. Learn to use gadgets. Don't think that you will get somebody else to do it for you. People turn to their children and say, I don't know how to use this gadget, please explain it to me. It's not wrong, but remember, at some stage when you are alone and your children are not around, somebody will have to do it for you, and that can't be your neighbor or your friend or anybody. You will have to learn some of those things. Adult education classes are available where you can go and see how to use a cell phone, how to use any of those online websites, what to buy, what is the safety that you have to have during trading on online websites. Learn all that. Everything can't be outsourced. You will not find anybody who will be able to do all that. So once you learn all that, you are mentally, physically equipped. Make sure that you have adequate insurance. This is a time when you need a lot of life insurance also, because you may not have put together your corpus required for your retirement. So check that out. Check out what are you going to do post-retirement. If you retire at 55, you may be able to work on something. You may be able to do online classes on drawing, on painting, on photography, right? Any of those things. So will it make money? No, it may not make too much money, but it might bring you good friends, etc. You might go and work in some NGO where you get some salary, or you work in a building society, right? You can do any of those things. If that can put enough money in your hand that you don't have to touch your corpus for a few more years, that's fantastic, right? Sometimes you may not need the money, but for social reasons, you may want to be continuing to remain employed, especially beyond 55 till 65. So work on all those things. These are the non-financial things. Decide where you want to live. Do you want to live in the same place where you are, or will you shift to a different place? Also remember, the place which you love in your 50s and 60s may not be the place where you want to live in your 80s, because it may be too cold and your bones may not want to be in such a cold place. So you may love a place, it may be fantastic for you to live now, but it does not mean you will like it in your 80s. That's perfectly all right. At least have a backup plan as to where are you going to live in your 80s. If you live in, say, Delhi, and for winter you need a backup plan. If you live in Chennai, for summer you need a backup plan saying, in summer I will go to Coimbatore, or in summer I will go some other place, but not Chennai, because Chennai is too hot, right? So do all those planning. Don't buy any place. You don't need to buy a place now, but start doing your shopping, especially after 50. Go and see some senior citizen homes. Decide where you want to live. Do talk to your classmates, friends, relatives, cousins about where they are going to live. If you are young and you have older cousins, then you know where they have lived. If you are the oldest, then check out where your uncles and aunts and parents and all lived. So those could be those choices. So make all those choices. Start working on your retirement. This is not an age when you are going to retire, but it's a stage when you want to plan for your retirement. See how much corpus you need. Like I said, there are good websites available. Indian websites are available, American websites like Vanguard and Row Price are available. You can go there, check out how much money you think you will need, put your inflation numbers, etc. You are in the pre-retirement stage, and in the pre-retirement stage you might, if you find that you are not having enough money, you still have time to do the last sprint of retirement and investing, right? So do that, create your corpus. Please take the help of an advisor, especially during the withdrawal times. You've already accumulated your surplus. Now the question is, when you withdraw, what will you withdraw first? How will you withdraw? These are not things which are easy. So better seek help of an advisor who has experience in talking about retirement or doing retirement plans for their customers. Thank you.